So I was in my office in the West Wing. The vice president actually has a couple of offices. There's the executive office building office and the West Wing office. I was in the West Wing, and I just finished a meeting with somebody. I'm not even sure who. And I looked at my phone, and there were a bunch of group chats, frankly, a lot of them that Charlie was in, where they said, "Charlie, praying for your brother, hope you're doing okay." And then I opened up my door, and somebody said, "Charlie's been shot." And it kind of hit me like, oh my God, this is very real. This is very serious. And, what happened over the next hour or so, I'm guessing, is, we knew Charlie. It's called your body guy, your special assistant, the person who's always with you. And I had a very dear friend in the West Wing who knew Charlie's body guy. And so his name's Mikey, and he called Mike and said, "Hey, like, what's going on?" And what was really, obviously, the news was discombobulated. No one knew what was actually happening. It was a very chaotic moment, but there was a brief period where we were getting good reports from the hospital. And I don't know how plugged in you were to that.
I heard those
and
too.
So, I saw the initial video. I've only seen it that one time. I refuse to watch it again. I don't want to see that happen to my friend ever again. But I initially thought, terrible, terrible news. And then I started to feel kind of hopeful. And then, of course, we got the news from Mike that Charlie had passed probably about an hour before the rest of the world found out. And I was the person who walked into the Oval Office and said, "Mr. President, I'm sorry, but Charlie passed." And that was a very, very tough moment. Susie Wiles, the White House chief of staff, was in tears, and she doesn't show emotion. She is even keel the whole way, and she was in tears. And I just gave Susie a hug, and I think all of us kind of lost it. And it felt like, we were all mourning our friend before any of the politics or the thought about, what a titan he was and how influential he was to the movement. How do we possibly replace him? We were all just sad because our friend had died. And we supported each other in that moment, as you do with your friends. But man, it was a bad, bad day.
Subscribe. Next Gen Politics.